Our meeting is called to order. Please call the roll.
Mr. Buckner.
Here.
Reverend Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Gilstrap.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Here.
Mr. Raleigh.
Here.
Mayor Saunders.
Here.
Mr. Shanks.
Here.
Mr. Vogler.
Here.
Please stand for the invocation and the pledge remain standing. Tonight, given by Council Member John D. Gilstrap.
Let us pray. Lord, we're meeting today to conduct matters of business for the city. As we represent all the citizens of Danville, guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right through thought and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Gilstrap. Tonight, I do have a proclamation, and I'd like for a representative from the Dan River Region Health Collaborative to please come forward. And I will read this, and it's all about cycling, bicycling, and not motorcycling. That's June. Okay. And it reads, whereas bicycle commuting is an effective means to improve air quality, reduce traffic congestion, and conserve energy. And whereas bicycle communities benefit both employees and employers through better employee health and fitness, and reduce commuting and parking costs. And whereas the city of Danville is implementing bikeway improvements throughout the city to encourage and facilitate safe and convenient travel by bicycle. And whereas the week of May 11th is National Bike to Work Week, which promotes bicycling as a viable means of transportation to and from work. Now, therefore, I, Sherman M. Saunders, Mayor, City of Danville, do hereby proclaim Friday, May 15, 2015, as Bike to Work Day, and encourage all residents and local employees to bike to work. Given under my hand this 5th day of May, 2015, Sherman M. Saunders, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you so much. And enjoy riding your bike. Please have some few words to say if you like. Okay. Not a problem. Not a problem. And we have one more, and I'd like to ask someone from the River District Project Committee to come down about the water. Anyone? Mr. Screen, I think that'll be you. And we're talking about using our river more for recreational purposes. And it reads, whereas the Dan River provides an opportunity for people to engage in recreational activities on and near the water. And whereas the Dan River is a vital part of the environment in Danville, providing water for residents and a habitat for a diverse number of wildlife. And whereas the Dan River always has been and always will be so vital to the economy and the quality of life. And whereas the river provides a sense and tranquil backdrop which attracts and rejuvenates the citizenry. Now, therefore, I, Sherman M. Saunders, Mayor, City of Danville, do hereby proclaim May 2015 as Reimagine That, Return to the River, and encourage citizens and visitors to take part in the many activities scheduled this month on or near the river in efforts to protect this valuable resource. Given under my hand this 5th day of May, 2015, Sherman M. Saunders, Mayor. Thank you, sir. Sir. Okay, no remarks. Great. All right. On the communication, those who wish to speak on any item not on the agenda will be heard at this time. If you wish to speak on any agenda item, you will be heard when the item is considered. Anyone wish to speak? Yes, ma'am.
We're back again.
Okay, welcome.
Hi. Okay, they're up here. My name is Megan Dalton, and we are Girl Scout Troop 152. We are very excited to announce the 250-mile meal challenge. The goal in the challenge is to eat local foods for 1 week. For purposes of the challenge, that's a seed-to-table concept. We realized how important it was to eat locally in our 2013-2014 scouting year when we did a journey called So What. It explained many things about the recent industrialization of food in our country and how little local foods are used. We didn't like what we heard, so we planned and worked really hard, and a year later we have this amazing challenge.
Hi, I'm Marissa Metters. I'll be talking about the benefits of eating local. And they're fresher and taste better. They positively impact the environment and green space. They promote food safety and variety, and they support the local economy and create community.
Hi, I'm Susan Dalton, leader of Troop 152. Typically, I like to take a back seat to my scouts, but one of my scouts came in this evening and she was not feeling well, so her mom had to take her home. So I'm standing in her place. The 250-mile meal challenge is something the girls have been working on for a while. It's a big project. We have a Facebook page, and we'd like to ask your support and the support of the community to go out and check out the Facebook page, the 250-mile meal challenge, like our page, and share it, and encourage other people in the area to share it as well, and to like the page. We've also created a website, the 250-mile meal challenge site, and we list on there resources that provide the seed-to-table type foods that the challenge requires you to eat. We're trying to add to that list, so we have our email on there, and if you can let us know if you know of other resources. Also, we've been working with the farmers market to the vendors that are there. Many of them qualify, and if you go to the market and you see this placard, then they have products that qualify for the challenge. So, you know, it's within 250 miles, so there's a vast area that, you know, that we haven't tapped into yet, I'm sure. And so we're asking for the community's help. And we really want you to take the challenge and give us feedback. There's a way to give us feedback on the page. So.
Okay. Mr. Gilstrap.
Is there a specific week that you want all 9 councilmen to do this?
No.
Or can I add to that? Is there a specific week you want all of us to come to your house?
No, it's ongoing. It's ongoing, so it's from now till whenever. And so whatever week, you know, it's going to take a little more pre-planning than just taking a trip to the grocery store. You might want to just kind of scout out what's out there and, you know, figure out how you're going to manage to do that for an entire week. So typically, or I would think the easiest time would be during the summer when there's so much local produce. But
So if we accept this challenge, we do that online, or we just do it?
you just do it,
Okay.
kind of like the ice bucket challenge. You just do it, you know.
Okay.
But you know, if you want to give us feedback, then you go to the website or the Facebook page and you let us know how it worked out for you. If you've got a special diet and you want to let us know how that worked out, what you had to do to alter the challenge maybe to make it work for you, we'd love to hear about that too.
Okay, good.
I would like to thank you guys for my tomato plant I got at the farmer's market Saturday. You guys were passing them out and did an excellent job, and I can't wait. I'll post the progress of my sprouting tomato plants as soon as they start blooming, so thank you guys so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak on any item not on the agenda? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Saunders.
Good evening.
Members of Danville City Council, Mr. King, members of Danville City staff. My name is Davis Montgomery. I'm a Duke Energy District Manager. My purpose for being here tonight is the same as in past meetings, to be a resource for you and the community, to bring you updates on relevant topics, and to answer any questions you may have. Since the last time I was here, there's been a few things in the news related to our coal operations and our plants, and I'll bring you up to date on those just very quickly. The first thing that you may have heard about was last week, Duke Energy made the announcement that we would build fully lined landfills on our existing property for our Dan River plant and our Sutton plant. Dan River plant and the Sutton plant were two of the 4 high priority plants identified through the Coal Ash Management Act. What this means is that each plant has got to be unique to that plant. Each one of these plants in the basins are completely different. We've been analyzing this for months. And as we filed with NC DENR, this is going to be a 2-phased approach. About half of the ash that's at that site will be moved by rail to a fully permitted lined landfill. The other half will be buried in a fully lined landfill on the plant site itself. 3 things about the lined landfill to keep in mind. 1, it will be dry ash and not wet ash. The water has been the medium for the transport of some of the coal ash. That will be removed completely. All of it will be stored dry. It will be in a fully lined and capped landfill with several layers of protection, both above it and below it. And it will be much further away from the river than it is today. So it brings those 3 benefits to the table. But we just recently made that announcement that those 2 landfills will be on our existing plant property. The next thing I have for you is that, as you know, Duke Energy and EPA continue to do water and sediment sampling along the Dan River. For the latest sampling, which was completed March 3rd, we did what we called split sampling. Duke Energy did the sampling, EPA did the sampling, and then we compared results. Monitoring occurs both above and below the spill location. There's 5 locations. The sampling tests the water column and it tests the sediment to a depth of 6 inches. The testing in March marked the 3rd quarter of monitoring under the EPA administrative order. 3 to 4 months after the original release, ash levels were reduced to the levels that we've seen for the last 6 months. This is now the 2nd quarterly report where the sampling shows no detectable coal ash at the monitoring locations and no presence of heavy metals in the water column. The next round of ash deposition monitoring was scheduled for yesterday, and we expect it to take about a month to get those results. Next thing I'll speak to you about is today we had the Dan River Stakeholders Public Forum here in Danville. This was a chance for people, we had one in Danville today, we're having 2 tonight in Eden. This is a chance for the public to come out and look at the projects and the work that that group has done. They had a chance to review that list. There's 26 projects on that list in 7 different categories. The public could make comments about that, put sticky notes on the projects, and they had the ability to vote for the projects that they liked the best. So that happened here in Danville today. Excuse me. It'll be happening again in Eden tonight. The last thing I'll speak to you about is that we were pleased to have representatives from Danville attend the function, recognizing all the grant recipients from the first cycle of the Water Resources Fund. This event was held in Raleigh at the North Carolina Museum of Art. The Danville project, along with all the other grant recipient projects, was recognized there, and they had a few minutes to talk about what they're doing and what the end results would be. So Mayor, Council, Mr. King, that's my update for tonight. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Vogler.
Yeah, you mentioned that this landfill that's going to be on site at the Eden facility will not be as close to the river. Do you know approximately how close to the river it will be?
It has to be a minimum of at least 300 feet away from the river, and it will meet that minimum criteria, but I cannot tell you exactly. We're still in the process of doing we have to do ground monitoring testing. We have to find the right location for it, but we know it'll be at least 300 feet away from the river.
And will there be any kind of pipes or anything nearby this landfill, running under the landfill, anywhere near the landfill that leads to the river?
It's a fair question. I can pretty much assure you there will not be a pipe within several hundred feet of this landfill. Obviously, this will be one of the very first ones. It will have a lot of scrutiny. It'll be one of the most closely watched installations that we do, as it will be the first one out of the gate. So it will, I think, get a certain level of scrutiny and detail that maybe some of the others won't get. So it will absolutely be done right.
And what is the timeline again for this to begin?
We have to do the permitting for the landfill. That has both local and state permits that are involved. We expect that we may get started actually doing work or putting ash in that landfill in the first quarter, I believe, of 2017. It will take us about a year to do the permitting and the construction. This landfill will also have monitoring wells around it that will report it on any leachate or anything else that's associated with it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr.
Yes,
Vice
sir.
Mayor?
Yeah, what is it lined with? What's the lifespan? And is it being covered over? How's it going to keep water from getting in there?
Is this a test, Vice Mayor? It will, I cannot tell you this. I'm going to say this, but I can actually get you the actual different liners. I believe there are 7 layers, some of which are organic compounds like clay, some of which is I forget the millimeter depth of a plastic liner that's involved in it, but I believe there are 7 layers associated with it. It will be fully lined all the way around the bottom, and it will be fully capped on the top. The effort there is, of course, is to get any water, keep any water from mixing with the coal ash that's in this landfill. So it has a lifespan of at least 300 years.
So we're just sort of kicking the problem down the road to our descendants.
I think in terms of the life of the landfill, it meets the criteria that's been set forth out there. It's the best available technology today, and it meets all the expectations of the state and the federal government.
And so did the original landfill at that time.
It did. As with any other municipal landfill or any other disposition that's been done, all those we're doing using the best available technology at the time, and that technology changes over time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Shanks?
Well, this is not what I wanted, but the technology does change over time. But the fact is, corrugated metal pipes rot all the time. That technology never changes. They rot. So that distinguishes your landfill, your wet ponds at Eden from
Yes, sir.
others.
Yes, sir.
Because
That was,
corrugated metal pipe will rot.
yeah. Yes, sir. That's exactly right. That was a characteristic to that landfill. That
The,
we didn't have those.
What I really wanted to ask you about is your stakeholders group that have been meeting and working on projects. Are there any elected officials or city administrative people on that stakeholders group that y'all came up with?
In terms of elected officials, no, sir, I don't believe that there are. And I think that was by design. There are some municipal officials. I think there's a gentleman, and I'd have to go back and review the list, but yes, sir, there are some that hold.
So how, that's true with the Pittsylvania County as well, as far as there's nobody elected or administrative from Pittsylvania
That's
County.
correct, yes, sir.
So how was this stakeholder group put together?
Going back 6 or 8 months now, it was done with input from the community and from various local leaders. We reached out to folks to see who might, and
Did
as
you
we
get
did,
any input from this group or
Yes, sir.
Pennsylvania Board of Supervisors? Well,
Yes, sir.
somehow I just don't remember that. The makeup of that committee came from us.
we came to you with some folks that we thought might be good members and got your agreeing.
Okay.
Karen Cross.
I find it just, and it's done now, but I find it most amazing that no elected members of the Board of Supervisors of Pittsylvania County or City Council or no administrative member of the city staff, high administrative member or county staff was included on this stakeholder group.
That was certainly an option. It was certainly an option. We made the offer. We would have taken anybody that you would have offered to us. The elected officials we felt would be under a certain scrutiny and a certain pressure that would put them in an unfair position. So by choice, we chose not to have elected officials.
Well, the elected officials are going to get chewed out as the
Yes, sir.
project moves forward. I mean,
Yes, sir.
so.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
We
thank you.
understood that and
Thank
tried
you.
to be sensitive to it.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm here on my own behalf as a lifelong resident of Danville, now retired.
Could you get your name for the record, please?
Glenn Scarce. And I've been saving up some things for you guys. I just haven't had the time or the energy to get over here. 3 items I'd like to address real quickly. I know a couple of them are hitting on things that you're going to talk about, but I'm not directly speaking to those things. The city utilities, of course, we have a water issue.
most people in Danville are too polite to say anything. So on several occasions, I've heard that, well, nobody's complained about this, that, and the other. I think they do complain. They complain to themselves, so they don't complain to you. My problem is with the city utilities as a whole. I've been here for like 70 years now, so I have a little bit of experience with this town. I don't think, my personal opinion, I don't think we have upgraded or improved our utilities in the way that we should have over the years. I just recently was in North Carolina, and I noticed that they're putting in solar panel farms. I probably saw a dozen. And they appear to be directly hooked into the power grids. It's the first time I've seen them, and I hadn't heard anything about them, but they're prolific in North Carolina, apparently. I don't know that Danville could utilize something like that, but might be worth looking into. Going on to my second issue, somewhat related to the first. I have been upset for some time about Danville spending money that I don't believe the city has to spend. In our personal lives, we know we have budgets, and we try to stay within them and try to keep a little bit set aside for unexpected situations. I would like to see Danville run a little bit more like we have to run our own homes. Danville's run up quite a bit of debt in the last few years on projects that may or may not have justified the kind of expenditures that were spent on them. I'm not too fond of downtown Danville. I don't come down here very often. I don't know why the city insists on spending so much money on downtown Danville. I don't think we're going to get the tourist in Danville unless we have something to offer them other than just come down to downtown Danville and look at a bunch of stores that are closed up. All of the purchasing power seems to have moved over on the other side of the city in North Danville around the mall area. And while I wasn't a party to nor even knew anything about our new firehouse until it was just about completed, I was amazed to find out that we've got the third best firehouse in the country. So the chief of the fire department tells me. I don't know that Danville needs the third best. I would have thought something a little bit more moderate would have sufficed. The third item, and real quick, I know you have a school budget coming up and items that are coming up for consideration. I'm bothered by Langston School. It appears that there are, near as I can estimate, 76 students in Langston. And I've heard numerous people make remarks about why that facility is there. I won't repeat them because I can't prove any of them. But it seems like a poor waste of our school budgets to have that big a school with so few students doing so poorly. I went to a bunch of school board meetings back when they were looking for a new superintendent of the schools, and on 2 occasions I went to the school when they were having a question and answer and invited the parents to come. there was usually one or two city council members there, myself, and on both occasions there was one woman with a child. And that was it. People don't seem to care about their schools. I've been in this town a long time, and I went to school here. I have to lay the problem in the lap of the parents. I don't think our issues with our school systems, whether they're cost or bad performance, or in any way related to the teachers, I don't think giving them $1 million a year paycheck would make any difference. Until the parent of the student decides that they want that child to get an education and they're willing to do what it takes to make sure that happens, I don't see the school situation improving. Justification for that are the schools that are doing very well. I wish we would pay a little bit more attention to how they're getting that done. Third item goes back to the quality of life in Danville. I don't like seeing litter on the streets. It bothers me. And I wish there was some way that we could have a city ordinance where people couldn't walk around with their pants down around their ankles. Gives a very bad image, number one. I think it's very embarrassing to females. I don't see why Danville can't have a decency ordinance, that if you're in public, you're required to at least have a minimum of decency. And things like that, I don't think should be tolerated. That sums it up for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on an item not on the agenda? Anyone else? Thank you. Is there a motion to approve our minutes from April 7, 2015? Mr. Raleigh, second by Mr. Campbell. Discussion on the motion. Please call the roll.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Raleigh.
Aye.
Mayor Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Shanks.
Aye.
Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
First, on adopting an ordinance to upgrade and expand hazardous material equipment. Mr. Gilstrap.
Mayor, I move adoption of an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2015 budget appropriation ordinance to provide for a grant from the Virginia Department of Emergency Management in the amount of $30,187 to upgrade, expand, and sustain the equipment of the Danville Regional Hazardous Material Response Team and appropriating the same.
Second, Mr. Buckner. Discussion on the motion. Please call the roll.
Reverend Campbell.
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller. Mr. Raleigh.
Aye.
Mayor Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Shanks. Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
Consideration of approving a resolution for the fiscal year 2016 Danville Public School budget. Mr. Jones.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt the resolution approving the budget of the school board of the city of Danville for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2016.
Second by Mr. Shanks. Discussion on the motion. Mr. Raleigh.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I would just ask, I know we have some of our school board members here. I'd just ask to make sure on the extra projects that were added after the $1.2 million was found, that we just make sure you look at those and get the best possible prices possible. I feel like this elevator hydraulic cylinder replacement, I don't know, it just seems high to me. I know what an elevator, a two-stop elevator costs, and it doesn't cost that much just for a two-stop elevator. So I just make sure that you look at those numbers and scrutinize them real good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell.
I think Buddy kind of hit on what I was concerned about. I just wondered by the adjustments that are made in the school board, do we need to make some statement or just approve what we're doing is fine, that's all. But I was concerned the same thing my buddy was saying.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor?
I just want to applaud the school board. You know, came forth originally with the metal roof plan, and that council didn't feel that was appropriate, and they did save some money, but they went ahead and extended the savings to several other schools. You know, trying to get in, I guess, get into next year's list or the year after. So I think we did extend it to cover more areas and make more improvements. And I think the savings, the metal roof thing was well worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Buckner?
Yeah, I have to be quite honest with our school board and our community as a whole. When I came in here tonight, I was dead set against this budget, approving it. There's a lot of money that's being saved here, and there's also a lot more money that I feel could be saved in other areas. You know, like Councilman Raleigh said, the hydraulic cylinder repair or replacement at $74,000 seems pretty steep. I hadn't had carpet done in a long time, and I believe when I went to Bonner, I remember that was a pretty large area, but $63,000, I think you guys could find some different bids on it. I'm sure there's lots more people out there, local people that are eager for the work. They could definitely cut those costs considerably. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vogler?
This budget process, there were things that I was happy with seeing this time around. You know, when Councilman Tomer was here, he and I would talk the past couple years about the contingency fund and the amount that was in that and where it went and where it didn't go and what was in it, and there were always concerns about that. This year, the amount has been brought down. It was brought down some last year, a little bit further, I think, this year, and we actually got an itemized list this year of what the contingency fund was used on last year. So it was certainly good to see that. I like the increased use of technology in the classroom. We're moving towards expanded partnerships with DCC, which I think is great. I'm glad that we're talking about capital improvements. And again, there could be some more discussions about the best use of those funds. But I think we all see the need for the capital improvement aspect of it. But I do mention, because we talked about this in the last meeting, I still have great concern about that $650,000 of carryover money that's being used to balance the budget this year. It's a one-time revenue source that you have that's not going to be there next year. And I know Dr. Paul Hamas said that they feel confident they'll be able to find other areas to offset that next year. But I mean, $650,000 is a big chunk of change, and I think when you're using a one-time use of revenue to fund an ongoing expenditure, that's always a slippery slope that you're setting yourself up for. So I still have some pretty big concerns about that. And that's all I had, Mayor.
Thank you. Dr. Paul Hamas, Mr. Chairman, did call me and he expressed regret he could not be here tonight. However, 2 school board members are here to include the vice. There you are. Thank you. Okay. To include the vice chair as well. So Dr. Paul Hamas is here. Thanks for being here, sir. Okay. Further discussion? Mr. Gilstrap.
Well, I have full confidence in our elected school board, and I have full confidence that they are not only going to use the money wisely, but our schools are going to continue to improve, and we're going to see some great results from their dedication. So thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Mayor Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
No.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Consideration, fiscal year 2016, fiscal year 2017, utility rate increases. Mr. Attorney, before I ask Councilman for their pleasure, there had been some discussion, some concerns about this. If council wished to remove some and vote on the others, can that be done, or is it best if council choose to do that, to just table everything and then address them later on?
You could do either one. It depends on what concerns you have. particularly if you had concerns with regard to the gas and electric, I would suggest that you move forward with an ordinance on the wastewater. If wastewater is the problem, then you might want to, then you've got some time, because the gas and electric don't take effect until July 1st of 2016. Wastewater is scheduled to take effect on July 1st of 2015, so it depends on what your concerns are.
Okay, well, I have read it, so council, what is your pleasure? Mr. Jones?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we table the entire ordinance due to, for the Utility Steering Committee has some great information, which consists of members of council members and Utilities Commission, and I just move that we table the whole thing, and if we can bring the wastewater charges back up at our next meeting after hearing more details. So my move is that we table the entire ordinance.
Motion to table. Second by Mr. Buckner. Okay, discussion, Mr.
No discussion on a motion to table. Is that correct, Mayor? Clark?
No, you can always.
I think you can have discussion on the motion as long as it relates to whether or not to table it.
Well, the city attorney is our official parliamentarian, so what is your rule, sir?
I think you can have discussion as long as it pertains specifically to.
Mr. Mayor, I have a substitute motion I would like to make.
Okay, we're going to work the parliamentarian tonight. We've got a motion to table, and there's a motion, Clark, want to be made to substitute.
Yeah, I don't know that you can, I think you have to resolve the issue with the motion to table.
Okay, I have discussion then.
We can have discussion. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I understand the concerns that each member has with regard to utility rates. We being Danville City Council has a advisory board called the Danville Utility Commission that deals with these matters on a monthly basis. And part of what they deal with is hiring consultants who look after the interest of the taxpayers, the ratepayers, the city council, and Danville Utilities, and recommends rates based on a 2-year study, and the study's done every 2 years. And it projects ahead each of the utility funds in the city. And I would suggest that it would be more appropriate to maybe delay any consideration of the two issues being wastewater, being electricity and gas for a later time. However, I would suggest it'd be very appropriate for us to continue to consider the wastewater effective rates that go effective July 1. These rates were carefully studied by our consultant, and they are there to be increased so as not to have a very large increase in any particular year, but to address the cost of providing the utility. So I would suggest that we not table all three.
Further discussion, Mr. Vice Mayor?
I would agree with that. The wastewater is effective this July. The consultant recommended that. The consultant also recommended we defer raising gas and electric services next year. And since we have till next year, I think it's appropriate to table that part of it because I think it may be a bit premature to vote on gas and electric. But I think we should go ahead and vote on the wastewater now.
Ms. Rowley?
I couldn't agree more with Mr. Shanks and the Vice Mayor. We're going to push something down the road. We just talked about the school board doing it. All we're going to do is push it down the road. It's going to cost more. And that, I think we at least need to vote on that right now. Wastewater, that is.
Mr. Vogler?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. I guess first question for our city attorney. If we table all of it tonight and we vote on it at this second meeting this month, would it not still be effective July 1? Or
it would still be effective July 1.
What is the cutoff up until a second meeting in June?
Okay. Theoretically, yes.
Okay. And I guess I asked Councilman Jones, your purpose for tabling is so that we get a chance to hear all the information correctly?
Yeah, my purpose of tabling is for the Utility Steering Committee has done an outstanding job as council members and the Utility Commission. And I actually haven't heard the report from the Utility Steering Committee because I think there's something in the report about hiring a consultant to look at ways to lower the rates. And I wouldn't want to increase the rates, but I don't have no objection, Mr. Mayor, with the wastewater being effective. The reason I said it earlier was because we could bring it back up at our next meeting to still be passed by July the 1st. So I have no objections to that, to the wastewater.
Okay, further discussion? Mr. Vice Mayor?
As I understand it, our special committee, we're dealing with electric only. We're not dealing with the wastewater, so you're not going to hear anything more on that.
That's why I have no objections. I have no objections.
Mr. Shanks?
Yeah, I just did want to point out what Vice Mayor just did. The fact is, the steering committee that we are going to hear the report this evening has only to do with the electric component of Danville Utilities. And anything with regard to wastewater, we will not hear anything else between now and probably a year or so, because it's already been studied, the recommendations there. So, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jones?
Mr. Mayor, may I ask the attorney, can I amend that motion?
Well,
or do we need
actually, Mr. Jones, and I think Mr. Attorney would agree, you made the motion and you agreed to remove the wastewater from that.
Correct.
If the seconder agrees to that, then
Good.
the motion on the floor is still good.
Very good.
Seconder agrees. Further discussion? Mr. Gilstrap.
I'd like to reiterate, and I disagree with our city attorney, which is not the first time I've disagreed with him, but I don't believe there's a debate on a motion to table. I think once a motion to table is made, it's either up or down. And Google backs me up on that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gilstrap. Again, Mr. Whitfield is our parliamentarian, and he's ruled. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Okay, just clarification.
You're voting on the motion to table everything except the wastewater.
Okay.
Can't do that. Well, can't do that.
Sorry?
I think I'm not sure I understand the motion now.
I don't either.
The motion is to table the what?
Mr. Jones talked about some concerns about the wastewater and about the utilities, and I think I raised the question even before the motion was made, and you say that we could do, I think, either or, remove the wastewater and then make the motion table everything else. Mr. Jones said that, so the motion was to table everything. Council members expressed their concerns. Mr. Jones agreed to take the wastewater out of it. The seconder who made the motion, the seconder agreed with that. So what we're voting on is to table the utility increases and not, but that does not affect the wastewater.
And then move forward with the wastewater, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Moving forward to wastewater.
But this is a vote to table gas and electric.
Yes. It's a vote to table gas and electric and not the wastewater.
Okay. Aye.
Can't do that.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Mayor Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Aye. Consideration fiscal year 2016 budget and capital improvement plan.
Don't we?
We got to vote on that.
We got to vote on the
We've got to do an
wastewater.
ordinance adjusting utility rates and changes for wastewater.
Sorry?
We tabled the other, not that.
We got to vote on the wastewater.
Wastewater now.
I thought we voted on the.
We tabled gas and electric, but we still have to do an affirmative vote on
Okay.
wastewater.
Thank you. All right, there a motion, Mr. Shanks?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move for adoption of an ordinance adjusting the utility rate and charges for wastewater effective July 1, 2015.
Is there a second? Mr. Jones? Okay, discussion on the motion. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Mayor Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Clarity, please. I got a question. I don't understand everything here. I thought that we this said utility rates and wastewater. Am I right? That's what
We
you read?
separate.
All right.
Mr.
You
Gilstrap?
read both.
Larry vote?
Yes, he voted.
No.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Are we now to new business?
Yes, sir.
Thank you all very much for that. I appreciate it. Consideration fiscal year 2016 city budget and capital improvement plan. Open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak? Anyone wish to speak? Close the public hearing, and council members, we have to vote on each three separately. Mr. Raleigh?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt a resolution approving the budgets of the various funds of the City of Danville, Virginia for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2016 for first reading.
Second?
I move.
Mr. Vice Mayor? Okay, discussion on the motion? First reading. Yes, sir, Mr. Vogler?
We're doing the next one?
Yes, number 3.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution approving the fiscal year 2016 capital improvement plans for the city of Danville, Virginia, first reading.
Okay, there's a second. Mr. Raleigh, discussion on the motion? Mr. Gilstrap?
For first reading, we still have opportunities to amend. Is that correct?
I think so, right, Mr.
To make
Attorney?
Yes, to make, if you're about amend or make changes.
Make changes.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Further discussion? First reading. Number 4. Mr. Raleigh.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt a budget appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2016 for first reading.
There's a second. Mr. Buckner. Discussion on the motion. Okay, item B, consideration of resolution approving the financial policies for the city. Is there a motion, Mr. Shanks?
Yes, Mayor, I move for adoption of a resolution approving the financial policies for the city of Danville.
Okay, second, Mr. Buckner. Discussion on the motion. Please call the roll.
Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Mayor Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Consideration of an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2015 budget appropriation ordinance for the city's rebranding kickoff event. Mr. Butler?
I'd like to make a motion to approve an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2015 budget appropriation ordinance by increasing revenues from the Danville Regional Foundation in the amount of $50,000 for the city's rebranding kickoff event and appropriating the same. First reading.
Second by Mr. Raleigh. Discussion on the motion. First reading, consideration of resolution to authorize submission of the 2015 through 19 consolidated plan and one-year action plan. I open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak? Anyone wish to speak? Close public hearing. Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of the resolution authorize the city manager to submit to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development the 2015-2019 consolidated plan and a one-year action plan.
Okay, the second, Mr. Buckner. Okay, discussion on the motion. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Shanks?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Raleigh?
Aye.
Consideration of the proposed amendment for the city's personnel system. Is there a motion? Mr. Jones.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt an ordinance amending the personnel system of the city of Danville, providing for the classification, compensation, and employee development for employment positions for the city.
Okay, second, Mr. Raleigh. Discussion on the motion. Mr. Gilstrap.
At our work session, we had considerable discussion on where department heads had to live in the city limits or not. And I was thinking at the conclusion of that, we agreed, or at least I thought we agreed, that they did have to with no exceptions. Is that the case?
Yes.
That's reflected in the new personnel?
Yes.
Okay, that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilstrap. Further discussion, Mr. Buckner.
Does that include assistants or just department heads?
There's a specified list. Includes a deputy city manager. I don't know, I'm looking to Sarah, I don't know that any assistant directors are listed.
The assistant city attorney, but not the director.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, assistant city attorney, but not whom?
Not assistant department directors.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Raleigh.
But this is going from today forward.
This is no change. So what you see before you in that part
Changed
is
it back
not
the way it
changing.
was. Correct.
That's correct.
But if somebody doesn't live in the city of Danville now, that's in one of these job classifications, they're grandfathered in.
Well, we're going to have a discussion on that, and we'll review the history of how those decisions were made. But for a period of time, it was very explicit that all department directors and others listed had to live in the city.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Those that were grandfathered in back when this first was done in the mid-90s or so, that will not change. That's
correct.
grandfathered in. We're just talking about here forward plus the exception that we discussed 2 weeks ago.
That's correct.
Yes, sir. Okay.
I've been here about 19 years now, and minus a year and a half. I was here when that policy was developed. And as I recall, Mr. Gilstrap, only one person was grandfathered in the very beginning. And that hasn't, well, my understanding, when the council voted back in the 90s for one person, I don't know the number now. But the policy, as I understand it, and based on Mr. King's response, is the same as it was when initially developed.
That's correct.
Thank you. Further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Shanks?
Aye.
Mr. Vogler?
Aye.
Mr. Buckner?
Aye.
Reverend Campbell?
Aye.
Mr. Gilstrap?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Miller?
Aye.
Mr. Rowley?
Aye.
Mayor Saunders?
Aye. Okay, communication. Mr. Manager.
None this evening.
Okay, Mr. Attorney?
Nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Nothing, sir.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Buckner?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Girl Scout Troop number 152 for all the great work that you guys do in the community and keeping us informed and challenging us with this meal deal here. Where I know I'm very excited about it, as I'm sure the rest of us are too. I'd also like to thank all the people who braved the rain last Friday night to come out and help us ring in a new era for our city with our River District rebranding. Imagine that. Let me tell you, man, it was something else. It was great crowds there despite the little bad weather that we had. And you know, I'd also like to say something that's been said a million times before. I've been watching the news and keeping up with a county pretty close by, and those guys are having some difficult times making decisions. And just like to say that you guys have elected a good group of men on this council here, because although we don't see eye to eye every day on everything, we do get the job done, and there's sadly some other areas that aren't. So thank you. That's all I got for tonight.
Thank you.
Reverend Campbell?
I just wanted to ditto what Ms. Buckner said. I thought last week was an excellent weekend in branding from the River District, and I want to commend the city, Mr. King and his staff, and other departments for doing such a wonderful job. And to the Girl Scouts, it's always good to see y'all, and definitely, this is great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Gilstrap?
I accept the challenge of the 250-mile radius of eating just local food, and I hope the rest of the councilmen will. And thank you for being here. And I'd like to say that it's been I know we're not through the budget process, and it's been a long one, but I feel that it has been very healthy, and we've had some great discussion, not only with council, but with school board. And I appreciate everyone's work and dedication that goes into the budget process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Troop 152, every time you all come, you either bringing us cookies or talking about food. Please come back again. Just want to say to the school board, Dr. Pohamas, Mr. Gould, Terry, and all the school board members, I know this has been tough. Young man spoke earlier about some of your town hall meetings. I was one of those council meetings who was sitting there with you. It's a great job, and we appreciate all you all do for us. And Mr. Buckner, I thank you for what you said, because I want to talk about city council members for a few minutes. You stated that we talk about what a great council we have a million times. I want to add 1,000,001 times. People oftentimes talk to us about the utility rates and everything. This council tonight showed our citizens that we are really thinking about our citizens by tabling this utility rate and charges to study it more, to look at it more, to see exactly what we can do. And you're right, Mr. Buckner, this council is a great council. And on my last note, as I was out of town last week, and I was looking at everything that was going on in Baltimore, one of the things that was stated by a young person to the ministers and the elected officials, Dr. Pohamas, was no one ever listens to us. This city council last week took our time with the youth council, went to the Y, they sat in chairs, and they listened to what our young people had to say. Kudos to this council. Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Miller.
I want to thank Girl Scout Troop 152 again. I mean, they're more than just cookies. Look at this list of things they've done this year. And I also want to get credit. I planted tomatoes, peppers, pumpkins, and squash today. Did I get credit if I eat those? Okay, good. Mr. Buckner, I also wanted to mention, the River District branding events started last Friday night, but there's a whole week of things going on. So check with the website. There's still several things going on this week that you can get involved in. The branding, a great event last Friday night. Food, fun, fireworks, great band. It was just an awesome thing, and it's really going to mean a lot for this city. All the signage and the new brand makes us proud of our city. We did get several of us to the youth council meeting at the Y last week. They asked some rather incisive questions, and they've got great ideas, great engagement by the youth council. We need to keep them involved. You know, when we went to Greenville a few years ago, they said it was a 25-year plan. Maybe in 25 years, I doubt few of us are still going to be on the council. We're about 3 years into our 25-year plan, so we have to get the youth involved to keep this river district and the city of Danville growing. So that was just a great event they put on. And don't forget the Festival in the Park's coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Raleigh.
Ms. Dalton, thank you for your leadership and with Troop 152. And Dr. Miller, you can't hear this, but I'm looking forward to bacon and tomato sandwiches for a week. I will take the challenge with Mr. Gilstrap, too. I'd also like to thank DRF for their monetary contribution. The event was first class. That kickoff event was really first class. And I thank them for that. And I would just say, Mr. Scarce, I don't know if you're still with us or not, but Mr. Scarce, you need to go downtown. You're missing a whole lot. I'd like to thank the school board members that are here. Thank you for your due diligence and all that you're doing. Mr. Montgomery, I appreciate you coming. I know sometimes it's tough. I appreciate you coming and showing up anyway. We still got a ways to go, so we want you to continue to come back. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Shanks.
Yeah, I've got just several things, but I wanted to first check with the city manager, if I may. Mr. Montgomery from Duke indicated how the stakeholders group was put together, and part of that indication was that the city had some input as to how the committee was chosen. Is that true?
Not to my knowledge.
And I was just curious if any council member had any knowledge of that. So I think that's not true.
I've explained to council before, I was called by one of the consultants that was coordinating this, and this was in the very, very early days. I don't know that there was much understanding of what this stakeholder group was going to be, who called and asked me, did I think that Karen Cross, who is an outstanding employee and very knowledgeable of the river, would be a good person to be considered to serve on a stakeholder group. And I said, absolutely. But nobody asked me, and I don't know about anybody else, about official representation by the city. And at that time, the stakeholder group was not, the purpose and constitution of that group was not well known.
Well, and I'm sorry to harp on it, but there's going to be mitigation of this environmental disaster that Duke caused, and there's going to be a lot of money that is going to have to be spent in doing river projects. And it would seem like the municipalities would have some say, considering Pittsylvania County and in particular Danville were the two municipalities affected the most by the spill. It just amazes me that there was no stakeholder group that would include municipal people. I mean, I'm not saying Karen Cross is not, but I'm saying other administrative people involved as well as elected officials. So
there is at least one administrative official from Eden.
From Eden?
Correct.
Mr. Shank, let me just add that when I first heard of the stakeholders group and its members, it had already been formed. I knew nothing about it.
Well, I was told something differently just face to face a minute ago. So moving on to more pleasant things. It's been said about the reimagine that, the rebranding of downtown, and there's been a lot of criticism. It amazes me how so many positive things can still garner negative publicity, but I just got to say thank you to the Regional Foundation for their financial and moral support in that project and many other things that they're helping with downtown. Which brings me to my second point. Downtown is such a powerful statement right now. You've got 2,000 people living downtown that weren't living there 3 or 4 years ago. I work downtown. I go out on the streets during the daytime. It's amazing the difference. So I just want to say where there are a lot of people that find negative things, there are many, many people that see the positives. And this downtown and this reimagine that are very positive things for Danville. And I've got to say Friday night was awesome. I left work at 6:15 and the clouds were just, it was just coming down. I drove by the community market and it was packed. It amazed me. I waited until the rain went, played out, and I went about 8 o'clock and watched the dueling pianos and the fireworks and the wonderful entertainment that the Reimagine That program had for Friday night, and it was awesome. And then Saturday I went to the farmers market, and there they were, the Girl Scout Troop 152 at the farmers market. Market opened Saturday and is open every Saturday, I guess through probably September. So I thoroughly enjoy that market. It's a great meeting place. It's fun to chat with folks and get some vegetables that are certainly well within the 200-foot radius of their project. The last thing I wanted to say is tomorrow is a very special birthday. My mom's birthday is tomorrow, and I would like to wish her a very happy birthday. And thank you for all that she's done for me. Thank you.
You're a good son. Thank you.
Mr. Volker?
I'd first like to thank Girl Scout Troop 152. It's a pleasure as always to have you all here, and thank you for keeping us informed and to put forward this challenge to us. I look forward to partaking in it. I also want to thank our youth council. I did enjoy the opportunity to meet with them last week and to hear some things for them and what their vision of the future is, and it's always exciting whenever I can be around our youth and our young people. It always energizes me. I also want to thank the Westover Library who had their open house last week, and Councilman Buckner and I were invited to come and meet with some of the citizens there and took some questions and had kind of a very open and candid conversation with people, which is something I always enjoy doing, and I want to thank them for that opportunity to be there. As has been mentioned, and Councilman Shanks articulated it very well about downtown and the River District, but I also just want to say that I think now, without question, the River District is a success. I think there were people who were skeptical 3-4 years ago, maybe even some of us on council. And a lot of those skeptics now are in the public and here have said, you know, it's working. It is working, and it is important for the long-term success of our city as a whole. It's not just about making a pretty downtown, it's about building a better Danville. And the River District's a big part of it. We've had $100 million of private sector investment in the River District, private sector investment. That's something special. And as Councilman Shanks alluded to, there's 2,000 people living down there now, when 4 or 5 years ago there were only 200. When you think for 20 years this city as a whole lost population, and even in the past few years it's remained relatively flat, to have population go from 200 to 2,000 within that district is a credit to the success of the River District. As far as the logo and the slogan, I like it. I think for the most part, I've heard positive feedback. You're never going to be able to please everybody, but I think it's something that honors our past and presents a vision for the future and all of us here on this council and different community groups, we're working to build a new Danville, one that is built for the 21st century. I think that this effort in the River District is a part of that. And as Vice Mayor Miller mentioned, this is going to be a long process. This is not something that you're going to see overnight, although we certainly are proud of what we've seen in the past few years. But the verdict on our time here is going to be written by people who aren't even born yet. So we've got to understand that this is a big picture that we're looking at, and we've got to remain vigilant in seeing this thing through to the end, and I know that we are. And lastly, I just want to, and I know that everyone on this council wants to wish a happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there in advance this weekend, and a special I'd like to wish my mother a happy Mother's Day. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah, he's a good son. I think he and Mr. Shanks are competing with each other here. Yeah. But quite frankly, all 9 of us are good sons. But thank you very much. I'd like to thank Troop 152 for always coming and always sharing and always doing wonderful things in our communities. Very, very proud of you. So keep doing good things. Really appreciate that. Also, it was a great event last Friday evening. Rainy at first, a little chilly, but it was great. And I thought we had a lot of people at that event, even with the inclement weather. A lot of people were there. Entertainment was great, and I just enjoyed. I enjoyed the whole program. A special thanks to the planners and the volunteers for putting this together. I mean, you all really, really put a lot of work into this, and so thank you all so very, very much. And the dueling pianos, they were great. I wanted to grab a microphone and sing a little bit, but I did not. I did not. Also, the River District is growing. And I say to us, for those who may not be aware or may have forgotten, in terms of economic development, we have had prospects to come to the city of Danville, drive through downtown, not just Main Street, but drive through downtown, trying to decide if they're going to bring their business here, they're going to invest here, bring jobs here. And they did not like what they saw, and they just kept driving and went on and did not come back. They called and told us after they had been here. You've heard me say before, we never know who we're talking to. That's why we should be positive and promote our city. And Prospect don't always look like some people think Prospect may look. Rich, shirt and tie, ladies dressed in gowns, beautiful cars. Everyday people asking the question, tell me about Danville. Do you like it here? What about your city that you like most? How is Danville doing? And those answers will determine their decision. So we have no idea how many jobs we're sending away when we are being negative. But downtown is very, very important. We've lost jobs because of it. Now that downtown is improving, yes, the city has spent some money, but the private sector has spent about 4 or 5 times more money than the city has spent because the city is investing in downtown Danville. So it is very important. And downtown Danville, again, is not just Main Street, okay? It's not just Main Street. Go on the city website and look at what we call the River District, and you'll see how many streets and locations are encompassed in that. So be proud of your city. Be proud of the investments. They are working. And Dr. Paul Hamerson School Board, thank you all for coming. And Dr. Paul Hamerson, you're sitting directly behind Mrs. Dalton, and I couldn't see you, okay? So I'm sorry that I got the message wrong, but I'm glad that you're here. But thank you and your school board members for all that you do as well. And to all of us, not just council, anyone listening and anyone who hear about this meeting, you know, the national conversation continues with regards to law enforcement and citizens. It continues, and it's going on across the country, not in all 50 states, but geographically across the country, especially on the East Coast. And I hope that we're all paying attention to that conversation and that we're all listening. But I just simply want to say to the citizens of Danville and to the law enforcement of Danville, thank you so much for showing respect to each other. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.